Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. So my name's Justine. I am a graduate student at Roger Williams University for the Forensic Mental Health Program. So right now I'm not currently licensed, but I am under the supervision of a clinical psychologist.
Okay.
Okay. So what brings you in today?
So I've just been having a little bit of difficulty, like managing my time. I bought a house recently. I'm in graduate school, and I am working. Doing all that at once it's a lot. Like trying to set aside time to, you know, have enough time to work, to make money, to, pay my bills, and having enough time to get my schoolwork done. It's so stressful right now.
Yeah, it's hard to balance all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So before we get started, just going to talk about a couple things. So this therapy is just going to be talk therapy. Once a week, we'll meet once a week, and then we'll talk about maybe like a little homework assignment, so we can continue working outside of this, so that when you come back every week, we have something to continue with. It's okay if you don't do it. It's not, the end of the world. It's, if you don't have time, we don't have time. We could just pick up where we left off. The other thing is I do not prescribe medication. If that's something that you think would be beneficial for you, I can absolutely give you a referral for a doctor who does prescribe medication.
Okay.
Are there any questions about that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And lastly, before we get into it, I want to talk about confidentiality. I am a mandated reporter, so that means a few things. If I think that you are going to harm yourself or harm others, I do have to report that. And then if I hear of any like neglect or abuse of a minor, an elderly, or a disabled person, I also have to report that. So how do you feel about that?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said that you are having trouble balancing work and school, and then like you bought a house on top of that, so now it's like a real thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about school.
So it's a graduate program, so it's definitely a lot more challenging than undergrad was. Well, I don't know if challenging might be the right. It's a lot more work. I think a different kind of work. There's a ton of reading, a ton of writing, which I expected, but like there's no exams, which honestly, like undergrad was like so exam heavy, which I love. So I'm not stressed out in the sense like I constantly have to study for an exam. Because I'm not a good test taker. I'm much better at writing a paper and stuff like that. So it's not the stress of like having to study for an exam. It's just like obviously reading these like really long literature reviews and journal articles. It takes a lot of my time if they're like 30 pages for 5 classes. So it takes up a ton of my time reading that, and then writing papers all the time for my 5 classes takes up a ton of my time. So it's trying to balance all of that and trying to do it in a good time frame and like not procrastinate, because oftentimes what I'll do is if I have a ton of assignments to get done and a ton of reading, I'll wait literally. I'm so stressed out that I don't even know where to start. So instead of just like, slowly working on it, like I'll wait to the very last second until I have this huge load of work to do, and then I have to do it all at once, and it's so stressful.
Yeah. I know all about the reading because, like I told you, I'm in grad school too. So I know it's lots, so much. It's very hard to balance. So tell me a little bit about what your work is.
So I'm a bartender at a country club. So obviously, like since it's not like I guess what's good about it is that it's not like a night scene. So it's not like I'm working like until like 1 o'clock in the morning, because I have worked bartending jobs where like. And it was in undergrad where I was working like 2 to 3 jobs at once, and it was like I'm working all these late hours of the night. It was awful. But it's good money, so like I like doing it, but I do prefer where I am now just because it's like earlier day shifts, and my bosses have kind of been somewhat accommodating with my schedule. It is hard though, because like a lot of people go back to school. So when a lot of people go back to school and like they actually live on campus, I don't. So they expect a lot more of me because there's so few employees, and instead of hiring new people, because it's towards the end of the season, so we close down since it's a country club, golf course. So they close down for the winter. So instead of hiring all new people just for like a few weeks, they make everyone else pick up those shifts. And I tell my boss all the time, I'm like, school is a lot. Like I prepared him and said like graduate school was going to be a ton of work and that I might not be able to work as much. And I thought he was going to be understanding about it. But then when I go and I look at my schedule and I see I'm scheduled, I'm like, hey, I did say like I need at least like 2 days off just to set aside for schoolwork.
Right.
And he's like, but I really need you. And it's almost like he'll like guilt trip me into working.
Right.
Yeah, I do feel bad, but. No.
Well, I mean, they need to understand that you have priorities, and of course,
Right.
work is a priority. You need money. I know you mentioned that you just bought a house, but it's hard to get people to understand that you need your time off because they do need you.
Mm-hmm.
They depend on you for them to run, but you also have other things that are just as important because you don't want to be there forever. I'm assuming, but you just said you make good money and that's good, and it keeps you keeps you paying your bills. So what does your winter look like when you aren't working?
So winter is where it gets a little tricky because we do get laid off, but we get unemployment.
Oh, okay.
So, but the unemployment isn't that great because it's just our hourly with a little extra put in, like for what like some tips would be. Because obviously all my money in the service industry is in tips.
Right.
So when we're getting that unemployment over the winter, it's like it kind of sucks just because it's not including really that much in tips. It's just like a small fraction of it. So it's enough for me to get by, but it is really stressful, like just having like living paycheck to paycheck. Whereas like during the summer or even during like the regular season, like I'm not living paycheck to paycheck, but during the winter it's like I don't have enough time to like, go out with my friend or like enough, I wouldn't say time, like more so money to go out with my friends. It's like I'm more worried just about like getting the bills paid, and then after that I'm like I still like to set money aside for like just in case money, like if anything happens, so I don't want to spend all of that extra.
Right.
I do still like to save it, but yeah, it's tough, but I have considered like maybe getting another job instead of doing the unemployment like over the winter. But then again, like while I'm in school, it is nice just having that, money just coming in, but
and it gives you a little bit of more time to get, your schoolwork done. But I can see how that would be, money's very stressful, so I can see how it's, going from the summer making a lot of money to now you're living on a strict, budget, and I know that that's obviously very hard.
Yeah.
Let's go back to your time management thing where you talk about you procrastinating because it's too much work. Can you tell me like a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I do find myself procrastinating a lot, and I just don't think I've found like the proper like strategies to work through that, which is why I wanted to go into therapy just to learn how I could work around that and feel better, because I wind up stressing myself out 10 times more than I really need to because of the procrastination. So instead of just simply chipping away at it throughout the week, it's like I'll come home from class, and instead of sitting for 30 minutes and working on some readings, like I'll just scroll through like my phone or whatever, and I just like because I just want to relax because I'm so overwhelmed. So I think it's just like I'm getting so overwhelmed that instead of trying to work on anything, I just choose to do nothing, and then all the assignments pile up, and I just haven't found like a strategy or anything that really has worked for me.
Yeah, it is tough because you need your me time. So I can definitely see how you have to get all your schoolwork done and you have to work and you don't have much time for yourself because you do have to get all the schoolwork done. But you still need some time to yourself. You need some time to unwind. So are there anything or what kind of things do you do besides just scrolling, like you said? Are there other things, or what are some other things that you do that might help you get into the mindset of, okay, now I'm refreshed enough, I can start doing my schoolwork?
I like to spend a lot of time outside. So, but I have like sometimes when I'm like really stressed out, I'll literally just go and sit outside, and I feel like that helps. But like just to kind of relax, get some fresh air. I'll like go on the phone, like talk to my friends. I'll call my mom. I have 3 cats, so that's a full-time job taking care of them as well, on top of taking care of a house and everything. So just playing with my cats. Sometimes I do like to read a book, I've been pretty bad with that lately, though. I used to enjoy reading a lot more, but I feel like now that with school, it requires so much reading, like I lost my loving for reading a little bit.
No, I love reading. But I can see how that can be like, I already read a bunch of stuff for school. I don't really want to sit down and read more. But I mean, two different, you know, types of reading, but, you know, maybe you could get back to reading. I might, you know, do a little bit of time better than scrolling on the phone or whatever, which that's fine too, if
Yeah.
that helps you. But, you know, sometimes maybe reading a book might get your brain ready to be like, okay, you know, now it's working, and now maybe I'll, you know, do some classwork. How do you, like, do you have a planner?
So yeah, the thing about planners, I've tried and tried and tried to use planners, but you know, I just don't think I'm doing it correctly.